Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we'll be doing our next Midweek Magazine entry. This is Against the Odds, issue number 33, and it contains the game Meatgrinder, which is a game about the battle for Xuân Lộc in Vietnam, and I probably didn't pronounce that correctly. That was in 1975. With it now being 2025, we are 50 years after basically the year that the war in Vietnam ended. Of course, U.S. involvement had ended before this, but this was a battle between the South and the North Vietnamese. So if we flip it over here, it says 2 years after the last U.S. troops left Vietnam, North Vietnamese Army General Van Thien Dung launched Operation 275, a limited offensive designed to set up an attack on the provincial capital of Pleiku. Rapid collapse of South Vietnamese or ARVN forces caused a change in plan, with NVA forces quickly taking one city after another, pausing only before an attack on Saigon itself. Based on previous performance, when 3 full NVA divisions supported by tanks and ample artillery attacked one depleted ARVN division at Xuân Lộc, Dung expected a cakewalk. What he got was a meat grinder instead. So design here is by Perry Moore, development Lambert Tover, art direction Mark Mahaffey. It is a 10-page rule book, medium complexity, average solitaire suitability, and playing time 3.5 hours. You can see that inside here we're going to find 1 22 by 34-inch map, 2 player aid charts, a rules booklet, and 240 half-inch counters. Now you may notice that this one has actually a tray that came with it. So this is a little bit different than my normal expectation of a magazine, but there is a magazine right inside here. So we're going to pop this off, or I'm going to pop this off rather, and we're going to take a look at what's inside. Okay, so it does have plastic over it, so I'm going to pull that off. And here is the magazine. And it is your typical kind of meaty ATO magazine, nice and long, almost 50 pages, really nice. You do get a postcard game in here. This is the Piper. Let's say just a piper dream. It's hard to read that. I'm sorry. My eyes aren't what they used to be. Even reading it through the camera is difficult. But there you see, this is one of the typical ATO postcard games. You've got counters along the edges that you would cut out. The map is on the other side, and you have a short map here. This is one of a four postcard game, so you could stick them all together and make a bigger game. So that's kind of cool. So let's take a look at the magazine before we get into the specifics of the game itself. So you can see here, read about the final battle of the Vietnam War, opportunities squandered at Loos, roads, and warfare. Also inside, bloody Hun likely, Attila ravages Europe, and new pocket at Falaise expansion counters. Okay, we got an ad for one of the Le Bataille de Moscova. The whiff of grape shot from the editor, Andy Nunez. Here's our table of contents. So you've got the order of appearance, works in progress. Of course, this is an older one, so all these games are already out. Trying to remember, 2011. So this is an older one. This is definitely an older one, and I bought it because of the upcoming anniversary of the end of Vietnam, the 50-year anniversary there. So on guards, tank duels and voting machines, development of the Republic of Vietnam Armored Forces. That would be the ARVNs, South Vietnam. Nice history in here. There's always a lot of great history in these Against the Odds magazines. Got an ad for legions, slouch hats, and eggshells. And you've got a list of the Arvin's armored units as of 73. Bibliography, you can tell there was a lot of research done. Meatgrinder from Hell. So this is an article about the specific battle that is in the game that we're going to be looking at. And you can see the locations. It's right here on the map. And you can see how close it is to Saigon. Bring this a little closer. You can see right there. Xuân Lộc. Like I said, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. And I'm losing my voice for some reason. Great time for that to be happening. So yeah, you've got a long, again, plenty of history in here. And here's the order of battle and some more about further reading, of course, right? An ad for the game, the Pocket FLAs. Here's our rules of play. So you got to read this first, learning to play the game. Then your intro, your components. So you got the rule book, 2 counter sheets, 2 player aid cards, 22 by 34-inch map, and you will need a 6-sided die to play the game. So then we've got the counters and how the counters are laid out. Quick look at that. So you can see the Arvins are yellow and the NVA is red. And you have movement allowance in the bottom right. You have leader, that's a leader counter. Then you have combat factors, battalion sized infantry, mechanized infantry there, support units, rocket trucks, anti-aircraft, helicopters, the famed Huey, armor, A-37, etc. So of course the 2 armies were equipped with, the Arvins were equipped with American equipment. I shouldn't skip anything here. So components, important definitions. So you've got your list of important definitions here. Stacking and zones of control rules through here. Supply rules. Sequence of play. So we get an initiative phase. Then we get the active player's bombardment phase, movement phase, defensive fire phase for the non-active player. Then the active player's combat phase, armored fighting vehicle movement phase, and disruption removal phase. Then you've got your command and control, the effects of being out of command, how you trace command, headquarters elimination, Arvin leaders, regrouping, movement rules, general, zones of control, and movement. Line of sight. Seems pretty straightforward. It's a very short blurb there. Combat rules. Adjacency attack conditions for the NVA and the Arvin. All combat is voluntary on a roll of 1 to 3. Roll of 4 to 6. Roll of 1 to 2. All combat is voluntary. Roll 3 to 6. Same as an NVA roll of 4 to 6. So you'd have opportunity fire, defensive fire. Bombardment. You've got tables here, as you can see. The direct fire combat result table, the close assault, CRT, artillery and air bombardment, NVA anti-aircraft fire, artillery scatter distance, terrain effects chart, sequence of play laid out for you here, NVA activation table, adjacency attack table, daisy cutter bombing, that's cool. Fire combat result table. So this, I guess, is the second. Yeah, this is the second copy of the player aid. Then we've got back to the rules: off-map artillery, artillery scatter, bombardment resolution, Arvin aerial bombardment, special munitions, cluster bombs, and the aforementioned daisy cutters, anti-aircraft fire from the NVA, collateral damage, direct fire, close assault, Arvin helicopter. You got retreat rules over here and support fire, disruption, random events, initial setup, reinforcements, the reinforcement schedule. Then we've got victory and a random events chart here on the back. So that's kind of cool. Then we've got John D. Burt's book reviews, the 5th columnist. And it looks like we got some Vietnam stuff here. One by John Prados. And the data shows Ed Heinzman. This appears to also be about Vietnam. Leaders who took the money and ran, or at least tried to. That's funny. You've got a bunch of different ones in here, so that seems like that would be an interesting read as well. Beyond Waterloo, this was just reprinted. And then you've got At Home While the Battle Raged by John Prados. Bradley's D-Day, which I have and have not played for the channel yet, but I would like to. The Simulation Corner. Oh, look at that. It's Band of Brothers, the original. Screaming Eagles. Napoleon's War II. The Last Days of the Red Hats. ARVN 1st Airborne Brigade. Paper Mache Dragon, South Vietnam's Air Force in '75 from J.D. Webster. Again, he's a designer who's done some pretty cool games, aerial based, of course. And Birth of a Legend, Lee in the 7 Days, not War but Murder. Roads to War, very Vietnam centric, but that's pretty good. Wargaming, A Game of Thrones or Not. And then the Battle of Loos here at the back, which was in the First World War. And on the back, we've got Revolution Under Siege, Russian Civil War, 1917 to 23. Reds or whites, who shall prevail? This is a computer game from Ajod, which is now owned, I believe, by Slytherin/Matrix. So that is that. Now let's take a quick look at our components here. Something for the pocket at Fillets. Then we've got a half sheet of counters here for the Attila game. There's 2 games in this box. So that's the Attila game. Graphics by Randy Line. Okay. This would be the ARVNs, judging by the color. This, I'm guessing, is the Attila map or game board. Bloody Hun likely. Little area. Looks kind of States of Siege-ish almost, but I'm sure it's not. It's interesting. Here's our NVA counter sheet. So you can see what these guys look like as well. A little bit more ARVN at the bottom. And then of course we've got the map. Oh, there is a die in here as well. Nice tiny little black die with red. It's kind of cool. Very small. Here is the map. Let me pause and put it out. Okay, so here's a look at the map. Pretty straightforward. Here's the titular city right here, along with some other ones: Bao Din, Tan Phong, Trang Hung Dao, Gwen, Tai Hoc, Fan Boi Chu. You've got an artillery scatter chart down here. This is the NVA entry area over here. They've got several. That's A, B, C, and D down here at the bottom, C and D. You can see the title here at the bottom. Yeah, looks like this was a tough road to hoe for the ARVNs, as you can guess by having the ARVN entries over here, but 3 sides of NVA. So yeah, you could tell that this was probably tough. So that's going to do it for this one. I do appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. But for now, that's going to do it. I'm Joe. This is Hexed Encountered, and until next time, as always, happy gaming.